topic, as soon as I said, hey, I want to talk about this, we then started babbling and arguing off the air. I said, wait a minute, let's hold it for the air. So this one's locked and loaded with a lot of energy, and that is the story of little Matt Perry. Little Matt Perry went out and bought a red or a green 1965 Ford pickup truck for $8,500, and his subdivision will not allow him to park his truck in his own driveway. He lives with his parents. He's 17 years old, pays his own insurance, pays his own gas, worked 3 jobs to get the car, and now the subdivision wants to fine him for parking his pickup truck in his driveway. I open it up to the board meeting. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll go first. As full disclosure, as the proud owner of a Ford F-150 pickup truck.
Crazy about a Ford truck.
Crazy. Well, it's not a government-owned truck. It was made by private enterprise.
Really?
Ford
Freedom.
Okay.
That was
Freedom.
for Tony.
So we'll get that.
Okay.
But, stupid rule
Yes.
by the subdivision. But that being said, when you buy your house, you have indentures, and those indentures clearly lay out what you can and cannot do in a subdivision. It's a contract between property owners of what's allowed and what's not allowed. So if this was in the indentures and everybody knew it when the house was built, it's not unconstitutional, it's not discriminatory against, on the basis of race or anything like that, then it's probably something that will end up being enforced at the end of the day, although it is a stupid rule. They probably don't ban SUVs like an Escalade or a Suburban that just happens to have a back pile. If you had a pickup truck, what about
an El Camino, which is a car with a pickup truck in the back?
What about a
Pacer?
Pacer?
A stupid rule.
Here's my question for you, John Deal. But he didn't buy the house. He lives there because his parents live there. When his parents moved in, he was 1. Now he's 17 years old, lives there. Should he have to move?
Well, I mean, the thing is, they did know the rules.
Truck.
Yeah, I mean, but the rule is
as
ridiculous.
A freedom-loving American,
Park it in the garage.
It doesn't fit. That's the problem. There is logistical reasons why it can't go in the garage.
But again,
no, because they restrict that too.
Well, what about an RV? What if someone wants to come out and park an RV out front?
And that's where the line gets sort of crazy because I lived in a neighborhood where these people had like 5 campers on their driveway, and you're like, well, that sort of ruins the property values when you got, so there's a line. I mean, the bottom line is the rules were there, and they knew them, and the son lives there, and he's got to abide by the rules. But the rule in this case is really, really stupid, and the neighborhood ought to fix it.
There's no way to change the rule because they put it to a vote. The neighborhood voted in favor of changing the rule and allowing him to keep the truck in the on the driveway, and then they said you need a 2/3 majority. So there's no way for him to change the unjust law
because he can't get he can't get enough of the votes out to do it.
Right? They keep changing the goal line.
That is, I mean, the indentures. I will tell you. I mean, when we built a pool, the rigmarole we had to go through.
I get it, but in a state where the state wants to arrest people who wanted to uphold federal law, banning some type of gun legislation,
and we can't
because you have no right to take away any gun I own in any way, shape, or form, even if the federal law passes a law saying I can't own that gun, and yet we'll go to the ends of the earth for an AK-47. But not the ends of the earth for a good kid to park his truck in his driveway?
A vintage truck. I mean, it's an antique. It's not. I wonder if there's something in the indentures that would talk about the fact that this is sort of an antique and sort of a historical preservation thing.
It's his own truck.
What if it's his own RV and he wants to park it on his front lawn?
What if he wants to build a barn in the front yard? You don't get to do that.
Well, if you really...
What if it's an AK-47 he wants to put in his front yard? He's allowed to do that?
Maybe if he had an AK-47.
They allow lawn ornaments.
Yeah, if he had an AK-47 in the back of it, maybe. But why doesn't he just throw a plant in there and call it a planter?
See, now that's why
you
hired Jay
look,
Kanzler.
And you got to look for
Call
the loophole.
314-621.
Right.
That's why Jay Kanzler is my lawyer.
You've been in an accident?
It's artwork. There we go.
That's what I said.
It's a sculpture.
Historical preservation.
It's a drivable sculpture.
It's
it's ridiculous, and this subdivision ought to be ashamed of itself, and they should get their act together and stop this. But you can't. This is the hard part. People want local control over their subdivisions, but then when they exercise it, there's bad circumstances, and there has to be a circumstance where the subdivision can address this kind of situation, and they and a lot of indentures are that
but in
way.
other words, I have a constitutional right to own an AK-47, but I don't have a constitutional right to park my truck in my driveway.
Correct.
Okay.
Parking your truck is not in the Constitution, unfortunately, and so that's
It's
the
the
reality.
right to drive pickup trucks. I think it's the Third Amendment.
It is outrageous.
There will be in the a bill in the MOLA.
It is outrageous. All right, another quick break. We're going to come back with people are up in arms over the truck and the boy, but you can't get this much emotion when there's a burning landfill next to a nuclear waste site. We'll talk about that in a moment on the Big 550.